Hello again, everybody. My name is Pablo Navarrete on behalf of the Garden Cinema. Thank you very much for coming. It's really good to see so many people in here. It looks pretty full to me. I'm delighted to have Cesar with us, the director of the film you've just seen, who's here for 2 days. Is it? There's another screening tomorrow at the ICA at 9 p.m. So tell your friends. We have just under half an hour, so it's not a very long time, but I'd like to, I think I'll just ask one question and then just open it up. It's hard to see, but is there a roving mic? Yeah, brilliant. So, Cesar, this film came out in 2019, yeah? And I saw, obviously very powerful, and congratulations on a really moving film. I finished watching it, well, I watched it this morning, and very, very moving. And on the day that people are protesting here in London about the events in Rafah, another US-sponsored genocide, I thought it was very poignant to watch this film. And I wondered, it's been a while since it came out, and I know obviously COVID took place just, after the film. I saw a speech that you gave at the Cannes Film Festival where it won the prize, the Camera d'Or. And you dedicated the film to the 250,000 people that died during the Guatemalan genocide, which took place during the Guatemalan Civil War, 1960 to 1996, I think is the time frame that people use. And that you also dedicated to the women still standing. Could you tell me a little bit about how the film has been received in Guatemala? Have you been able to show it there? What were you hoping that the film could achieve in Guatemala, or the reception that you were expecting?
Actually, it's a sad story because we prepared for a long time a release in Guatemala with a huge event in the National Theater with 2,000 people, and bringing all the mothers and bringing all the victims and bringing everyone there. And it was a week before the lockdown. So we had to cancel everything. And we were supposed to release it also in the commercial circuits just before this premiere, and that never happened. So during the lockdown, we released it on Vimeo on demand, and it was a shame because in a country like Guatemala, it's only a few part of the population who has access to high-speed internet, a credit card to get into the Vimeo, blah blah blah, and that not watching the film in the proper setup, without the good sound, with the good image and everything. And afterwards, luckily, a festival in Guatemala showed the film, and then show it in a and then they show it in many communities. And the other sad story is that we tried to show it in the community what we shot in Pambach, and the authorities changed, and the authorities, they asked for money to show the film. So we said no, and then we showed to the mothers the film on a laptop, which was not the proper way to do it, but we don't have any choice. And right now the authorities change again, so there's a little hope to show it properly in Guatemala. But for me, the meaning or the reason to do this film is to show it there, because that opens a debate, that puts some subject under the table, that allows also to pay some, how do you say? Put the mothers and the victims on the spot, and it never happened, sadly.
And just a quick follow-up. So, if the Civil War ended in 96, it's now 28 years since that time. What is the climate in Guatemala like in terms of how does contemporary the mainstream in Guatemala view that time period? Has the state made moves to restore historical memory, or is there a kind of misreporting or like an amnesia around that era?
It's an amnesia, and people are still afraid about it, because imagine that 3 days after they release the report, the Guatemala Nunca Más, which was the huge compilation of all the human rights violations and then all the testimony of the victims. 3 days after that, they killed the bishop that leader the project. So I think for me it was important also to show the film, because most of the people don't like to talk about this period, and then they try to say, stop talking about the past, let's look for the future, stop doing. I remember even in my family, when they asked me what is your film about, and then I told the story, and they said, why aren't you just keep talking about this thing? And I say, because it's important to keep talking, because we don't. I mean, if even in the trials, there's not enough trials. There's not a proper memorial museum. So from the state, there's nothing.
I'd like to open it up now. If you have a question, questions, please. But comments, as long as they're like short, are welcome too. So there's a roving mic. So if you just want to put your hand up, and the mic will come to you. So hopefully, we've got any comments,
Don't
questions?
be shame.
Don't be. Yeah.
Yes.
I think the movie, it was brilliant. What you touched in there, it was very sensitive. And as a Guatemalan, I feel very identified. And I feel like it's the first time that I see something like this, and it's good. As you said, like, just keep showing this to people, because it's a reality that people trying to forget, especially with the governments and the corruption and everything. Like, people just try to put their mind in something else. But the job that you did, it was absolutely amazing. And I really, really appreciate that you bring this to the world.
Any other? Oh.
Hi. Well, first and foremost, thank you for doing this. I echo her comment. Growing up in Guatemala during this time, no one would talk about this. You would, might see the press, you might see things, but no one would ever talk about it. And it's only now, so many years afterwards, that you bring the story in a way that people can relate to it. So again, thank you.
Hola.
Hola.
Paisano. I'm from Guatemala also. Very thankful for this film. I grew up in the city, in a school where they never taught me about this. And I had to come to different scenarios with people where one anthropologist told me, if you don't know what all these people have suffered, go to the area Ixil and you will know what the civil war made to this country. So I think it's really moving. Now I am an anthropologist. And thank you for putting this. And I think it's a very important film that I hope one day also my brothers see, because I know they don't have any idea about what happened on those years, just like myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I also want to echo what has been said before, and thank you really very much for putting this film and making this film. And I'm Chilean, and in a way there are many things in your film that are very similar to what happened in Chile, although the scale is completely different. But certainly, I think one of the incredible things is you managed to portray the feeling of those people who have got people who've been made disappeared, and they were killed and they don't know what they are, and the need for those people to hang on to something that they can pray to or remember, and that's so important for closure in a way, a little bit of closure. Although certainly it will never bring justice to those people. But one of the things that, I mean, in a way, in Chile, in my country at least, a little bit of, we have achieved a little bit of justice, not as we would have liked to. And there are still people who are disappeared and we don't know whether they are, but certainly not the number. But in the case of Guatemala, that the world knew so little about it, because for Chile, most people knew about the coup in Chile. Most people, I mean, certainly in this country, there was a lot of solidarity, what was going on in Chile. We had a lot of, I came as a political refugee here after the coup. We had a lot of support from countries all over Europe, really, I think all over the world. But why wasn't that Guatemala didn't capture that attention? I know probably there were political circumstances around the world, but also why hasn't it been possible to get a little bit of justice, in the sense that you could have more trials, that there could be a museum or
I have my own opinion, and for me it's because most, I don't know the exact number or the percentage, but most of the people were indigenous, and nobody cares about it. I am sure if they were white or mixed, it will be a scandal.
It was 250,000 people at least, wasn't it?
No, it was 200,000 people were killed and 45,000 were disappeared. And most of them were indigenous. And I think there's a racist, how do you say, filter. This is why I think nobody talk about it. And I mean, Guatemala was a laboratory for many things: torture, intelligence, techniques of war, and nobody talk about it because they did it in the Altiplano, with the indigenous communities. This is my own opinion, I think, because, for example, there are like there are huge cases. Like the massacre of the Spanish embassy. And they talk about it because inside the embassy, they were Spanish citizens, not because of the Guatemalan people. And this is a special case. This case went to the Spanish court, and then they did the whole round. But for the other ones, there's no justice, because we still living in a very racist state. This is why I think.
Yes, I just thank you for this amazing film. How was you working with all these women from the community? I just wanted to know, you approached them, were they willing to be part of this? And I don't know, I just want to know a bit more about how that worked.
I researched for a very long time. And at the very beginning, the film was named Uspantan, because it was the community that I wanted to work with. And not even Uspantan, it was a little community near Uspantan named Caracol. And in this community, it happened a massacre. And the thing, when finally I get the funding to shoot the film, again, the authorities changed. And I was not allowed to film in Caracol, and I was not allowed to work with the people of this community anymore. Because there's, I mean, when a major change, he is just, I mean, like a king of this space. So as I did a huge research with the FAVJ, with the foundation, the Forensic Foundation, we start doing like a casting, like a community casting, where the massacre happened. So I start going with them community by community. And when I came to Pambach, the community were shut, the women took my hand and bring me to the church, and they start just to tell me the whole story. I mean, the trucks come from here, the soldiers from there, they start shooting there, they raid me here, and I was like, okay. It was very intense experience, and I said, why are you telling me this just like this? And they said, because nobody believed in us, and we need someone to tell the story. And I said, okay, this is where I start working with. And at the very beginning, I want one of the widows to be Nicolasa's part. And I start making casting, and then I realized that I have no, I mean, and I have my I have an ethical issue, because you're not allowed to bring someone that really lived this experience coming to the fiction, and afterwards saying, okay, thank you very much, I will see you in some festival and then see you later. I mean, for me that was not, I mean, I was not comfortable, and then I have a problem there. So I started making a casting with someone who was close to the story but not really lived the story, and then I found Aurelia. She made a wonderful character, and we worked together for a long time, and then we tried to integrate the community also to the shooting, and then our PAs were part of the community, the people that give us houses, animals, work power. And also we try to retribute the community also, and then, but we don't want to give money, so we decide that they have to choose one project in a budget, and they decide that we can change the windows of the school. This is because we have, I mean, a part of paying the people that work for us, also to give something to the community. And it was just amazing, because I think they are real people, so they don't allow the actors to be fake, because in the moment of the actors start to represent themselves, you feel it, because in front of you have someone that it's real. And this, working with this experience, that I mean, I learned about that, much about not only filmmaking but also myself and Guatemala.
Any other questions? Well, I want to ask, this is your first fiction film, and you come from documentary filmmaking. So how was that? I mean, what made you sort of decide that you wanted to move into fiction? And I mean, you've spoken a little bit about the process, but what was the wider challenges?
The main reason is that I wanna, two things. I wanna tell a story about mother and son, and then having a context that tense their relationship and create conflict in real time. And during my research process, I also tried to find this character in the foundation, in the community, and I didn't find it. So I didn't find it. So I decided to this has to be a fiction, because I want to represent this story. And the other thing is, I have the scene from in the beach. Was one of the first one that I wrote, and I said, this is how do I bring someone from documentary to represent this confrontation between the son and the mother, and this trying to make this metaphor about his I have his eyes, his lips, and this is why I make a fiction, because I didn't find the characters to in the real. But I always try to make it as much real as I can. I mean, we filmed in the real foundation. We shot with real bones. Armando spent days with the forensic employees. We shot in a real village. I mean, everything. We tried to make it as much close to the and also the portraits. For example, in the script, when Ernesto asked the victims to tell their story, it was written that they tell the story again, and it was shot like this. All the women tell their story, and in the editing room, it was too difficult, because in terms of narration, you have like a huge climax, and then you have like 30 more minutes to go. So the 30 last minutes with all the testimonies there was just terrible. So I decided to make just this silent portraits, because also I think that creates something with the audience, that the audience can just imagine it and create their own story based on everything I gave you in the beginning. So, yeah.
2 questions, I think. I can't believe that was your first fiction feature. I thought the storytelling was amazing, and the editing, the way it was put together, and what you just said about those portraits, that was such a moment of stillness, but also engagement for us. So I thought it was amazing, but the editing was just fantastic, and the way the story was structured through the editing. And the question is, was all the funding from France, and how did that involvement happen? Was that for political reasons or to do with your relationships with funders? Because it looked as though there was a huge amount of funding from EU and France.
Actually, it's a Belgian film, and it represents Belgium, and it was the Oscar entry for Belgium, which is, yeah. And the main reason is because I grew up in Belgium, and then I found it as a Belgian movie, and then we found the French partner, and the main reason is that in Guatemala there's not film funding. There's no way to found this kind of movie there.
Interesting. So it wasn't political decision; it was pragmatic.
Absolutely pragmatic. I mean, I tried at the very beginning. This is my thesis from the film school in 2011, and I spent 7 years to shoot it. And then at the very beginning, I tried to make a co-production with Costa Rica, and then I tried to make a co-production with Mexico, and then everything failed until I decided, okay, why? I mean, I used to work in Belgium as an editor, and then I knew people, so I went there and I said, okay, Geraldine, why? Let's do that together, and then we made it.
So did you edit it as well?
No. At the end, it was funny because the musician and the editor just hate me, because in the very last screening, just to the verification screening, I threw it away all the music, because it was like music with the symphonic of the Brussels, la Sinfonia Filarmónica de Bruselas, ¿cómo se dice? Philharmonic of Brussels, like it was just very pretentious. So I threw it away, and I spoke with the composer, and I said, okay, something very minimalistic, one instrument, a piano, and then that's it. And I changed the editing also, because there's some scenes and some, what I said, the fat. When I am editing, I know that there's always some fat at the end that you can take out, and then I didn't realize that on my own film. So in the verification, I said there's fat here, 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 and then I cut like 10 minutes of the film, and then yeah.
They must have been delighted with those.
Everyone from the post producer to the producer to everyone, they were really delighted. But I was right. I mean,
Okay, last question. What's next? What are you working on now?
I am finishing a new feature, again about a guerrilla fighter that leave his child in Guatemala and goes to Mexico, and 10 years later the child comes to Mexico and they have to know each other after 10 years. And it's named Mexico 86, and I am finishing right now, and yeah, it will be released soon, I hope.
We look forward to seeing it at the Garden Cinema. So thank you very much, Cesar, once again, just for a brilliant film, and thank you. And to remind you that there is a whole season. This is the third film in a season of Central American films programmed by Abla Candelaft and other colleagues here. And so, yeah, pick up the flyer, check out the other films. And also to plug that I'll be here on the 8th of June at 1:30, chairing a Q&A with another Pablo, a Chilean-Canadian Pablo, who's made a very good documentary on mural art in Chile and the links with politics and the past, the Allende government and muralism now. So that's called Chile Estyle on the 8th of June. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you to Cesar, and hopefully see you at future Central America Cinema. And your screenings, another one tomorrow at 9 at the ICA. So tell your friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much.